Hey, everybody, just coming in with a quick intro for this episode of the Superpowered Fancast. Because in this episode, I'm talking with Charles McFall. Charles McFall is a veteran podcaster, entertainer, and all around media guru who has been with 20 years of experience. He is also the digital media track director for one of my favorite conventions in the world, DragonCon, which is celebrating its 40th anniversary this year, and I will be there. It is probably one of my favorite cons of the year. It's one that I always make a concerted effort to get to because I love it so much. But in this episode, we talk about cons, we talk about con culture, we talk about everything under the sun, the rise in digital media, and just our love of the convention itself. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time talking about it. I just want to get right to the episode. Enjoy this episode with Charles McFall. Charles McFall, thank you so much for being on the Fancast. I really appreciate you being here.
Oh, I love being here. It's my first time and hopefully not the last.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here. And first of all, love the merch because I love that shirt. Like
Yeah.
I'm a Dragon Con fan and I can't wait to go back this year. Um, my first question that I always ask is just as far as like your journey, like kind of what was your journey to both a media, but also specifically like what was your journey to working with Dragon Con? Like what did that look like to you?
I ran from it, to be honest,
Yeah.
from DragonCon. The first introduction I had, I've always lived in, well, for the most part of my life, I lived in Georgia. Then my young adult life, I moved up to Athens, Georgia. And that was really I think I may have heard some hints of it in the past
Mhm.
of what DragonCon is and this, but not really. But I'm working at a Walmart at like 16, 17 years old, somewhere in there. And this other guy who was a manager, he was in his young 20s, and his name was Doug. And I remember Doug had these brown tinted glasses, and we're talking about in the 90s, right? And he
Yeah.
had these brown tinted and hippie hair and always smelled like weed. And he's like, "Hey man, you ever heard of Dragon Con?" I was like, kinda hear about it on like a radio ad or this, that, and the other. And he's like, "Oh man, it's so cool." I was like, "Well, what is it?" Because, well, it's in one or two hotels, and you just go from room to room partying. And you go in this room, they have drinks and this and that. Then you go to this room, they give you some beer. I'm like, that sounds horrible. Not to mention I'm a preacher's kid living at home, so I'm sheltered and all that. So I'm like, that sounds like what are you talking about? You just wander the halls and get drunk. And that was what I thought DragonCon was.
Yeah.
And then I got older and got more prominent in media and this and that. And so a bunch of people were like, "Hey man, you need to go check out DragonCon." And this other friend of mine, he sometimes you just take something from somebody else, where they say something and it just
Mhm.
lands. And I was helping him start his podcast and do these things. And he's, "Oh man, you know they do panels at DragonCon." I was like, "I had no idea. I thought you just went there and got free booze or
From
something."
room
I
to
don't
room
know.
and drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, no, they do panels. They have a podcast track, and you know you've made it if you do a panel at DragonCon." I went, "Sounds like a good enough goal. Let's shoot for it." And ultimately I have, fun fact, I've never paid to go to a Dragon Con, because I had another conference who wanted to learn about Dragon Con pay for me to go and see what it's all about and bring them back all kind of information. And then I made an impact there. So the next year I proposed a panel and then got attending pro for that, and so on and so forth. But that was it. Is I just kind of got in and started touching base in these little areas and just really stuck to the podcasting track the first 2 years. I
Yeah.
didn't really venture too much out. And then once I started venturing out, I saw a much bigger picture and then kind of snuck my way into being a director, and that's another story. So, but yeah, that's my journey to Dragon Con, and just a shorter version. My journey to media was always have a message to share. I've always been the storyteller, the guy who collects and sees and wants to hear your story, and just is always out in front of people talking. And so I always thought it was going to be music or radio. And in 2004, uh, I discovered podcasting. It just really started to eke out into the internet, and it was nobody really knew what it was. And that's I jumped in head first, and here I am 22 years later, and doing all kind of awesome sauce.
Yeah, and what's funny is that your your journey kind of mirrors mine
Okay.
in a lot of ways. Like I was working a retail job, and like at that point I was kind of like middle management. So I would come in, and like my employees that would come in early with me, we would like I think we'd spend so much time talking about like comic books and movies and pop culture and all that. Like we would forget that we were about to be on the clock. So we were just like we were just like, hey, you know what? We should just kind of meet up after this and just kind of talk about it. And then it would go
Yes.
on for hours. We were like, why are we not recording this? And they were like, and someone suggested, yeah, just go ahead and record it.
Yes.
And it kind of like the early days of this. And then I was just like, well, if we're going to do this, let's go ahead and, we'll do like a website and we'll do YouTube and all that. And everyone was like, whoa, 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 you're going to, you're going a little too fast for us. So
Now
they
you're
kind of
making it
backed out.
work.
Yeah. It's like they kind of backed out, but I was just like, I
Yeah.
got to keep going. Like, this is becoming fun for me. And
Yeah.
it's like 10 years later. And again, the same thing with you. Like, I didn't go, like, I haven't paid to go to Dragon Con in the times that I've gone. Like, the first time I went, I was working with like another website, just kind of writing comic book reviews. And they were like, hey, we're sending people to cons. Like, do you want to go? And I
Oh
was like, well,
yeah.
I'm here I'm here down south. I'm here in Birmingham. I was like, yeah, let me go to Dragon Con. It's the one I keep hearing about because I'm not originally from the South here. Um, I'm originally from Chicago by way of Los Angeles, and so like I had been to cons in LA, I'd been to cons in Chicago, and then I get down here and I'm looking for that kind of culture
Yeah.
and have that conversation, and it's like Dragon Con's where I need to go, and it's like 2 hours away. So
Yeah. And it is so crazy that it is so like for most of my life it's been around.
yeah.
And it's been such an impactful thing as it's grown up to really not even for me not even have a concept till I was 18, 17, 18 years old, what it was, to not even try it till I was, I think, late 20s, early 30s. And nowadays, if I'm it's just I know it permeates my world and it just seems to be everywhere. That if I'm talking to somebody like, what's Dragon Con? They're talking about the new Spider-Man movie or the new something geek, right?
Mhm.
Something fun. I'm like, do you go to Dragon Con? What's that? I'm like, I tried not to do. Are you kidding me? What do you mean? And I always be that ambassador and like, wow, I think you're gonna love it. And yeah,
Well, and I think that's another interesting conversation. I think because again with the other cons that I've been to, like they're big. Like I've gone to C2E2. I did Wizard World Con when they were around, and I mean I haven't been to San Diego yet, but they're big. They're big events. I still have yet to see a con as big as Dragon Con. I think just like the fact that it's like it at this point is what like four different buildings, like three
five,
different hotels,
five.
five.
Well, okay, you've forgotten buildings. It's like six or seven. It's
Right.
five host hotels plus America's Mart,
Yeah.
and then we have some other little remote connections that we do.
Yeah. But it's just the fact that I have not seen a con that big.
Yeah,
And the fact that it's so fan driven. Like it's not, built on, the biggest like new media thing. It's about the fans coming together to support the things that they love. And I think that's probably the reason it's so special to me. But it just that's how I kind of you know translate that to other people. It's like it's big, but it's big for a reason. It's because of so
yeah.
many fans.
It's the internet embodied, right?
Yeah,
It is. You can go find
exactly.
whatever you want in these different areas, and you can touch on a little bit, or you can deep dive. And when I say I really stuck to the podcast track, I mean the first year, I don't think I did anything else but stick to
Mhm.
those rooms and watch those panels and go from the hotel to Marta back out of town and back, in the second year, I think I branched out a little bit, having no clue how big Dragon Con is. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I think I'll just make my way down. And oh, they had that year that they had the original Muppets and Muppeteers for Fraggle Rock that did Red and Gobo, the
Mhm.
voices in puppet. And so I'm like, I just walked down and saunter on, and I got there maybe like 5 minutes early, and there's volunteers that said, sorry, we're full. I'm like, I just could not comprehend it.
Yeah.
Like my brain froze. I'm like, are you speaking English? What do you mean it's full? Like, no, sorry, it's full. I'm like, but and in my life, nobody would have given a crap like
Right.
about Muppets or Fraggle Rock. Like, I
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
anybody who loved Fraggle Rock. It's like, but it's just puppets. Nobody cares but me. I mean,
Right.
what do you mean it's full? And they're like, es habla fula. Go away, man. I don't know what to tell you. So yeah, you start opening up your perception, and
Hmm.
now it's very much I've sat in lines for one of the last Stargate panels that we
Yeah.
had is 10 years after the cancellation of the show. And I sat in a nice line outside. I've finally found a line that wrapped
Hmm.
outside and went in to
Yep.
see an Arrowverse. I think season 3 or season 4 was about to come out for Arrow, and got to see Stephen Amell. And but it doesn't have to be any of that.
Yeah.
I've never made it to the costume contests. I've never made
Mhm.
it to some of the big balls and parties, and I've I have seen the parade in bits and pieces. I'm always moving
Mhm.
somewhere else at the time. But there's so much that you can do. I always tell people like, "What's DragonCon like?" Is whatever you want it to be.
Right. Exactly. And that to absolutely to your point is that there is always something going on and there's always something for someone to be, to be involved in.
Yes.
Like I've like with just like you, like I've stood outside and eh, I've never like anytime I've gone to Dragon Con, I always have to go to the Star Trek panel. I have to. It's
Yeah.
I have to make it. I have to make it a point, and it's always an experience every time. And it's like you kind of expect those lines to kind of wrap around, and that's great. And because it reminds me of the interest that people
Yeah.
have, and then you get into conversations with people in line, and you kind of recount and make friends and have experiences with them. And then it's the same thing. Like I went like it's been like how many years has
Yes.
MST3K like not been on? But that line was a monster as
Yes.
well. And
Yes.
I was like that, but it's those experiences. And it's one of those, again, it's one of those conventions that shows you the depth, breadth, and just, generational love of fandom.
Yeah.
That's
You're talking about lines and meeting people. I've kind of outgrown it as far as like size wise, but I used to have a t-shirt. One of the earliest nerd shirts I found was just this silhouette of Darth Vader and Boba Fett as oh, I lost it, as a Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta in Pulp
yeah, in
Fiction.
Pulp
Yeah.
Fiction.
So the hair and everything. And I was standing in line and somebody taps me on the shoulder and points, and there's two cosplayers as Darth Vader and Boba Fett as those
Josh
characters
on
with
the
the suits,
shirt.
and so I got the picture with the shirt on. Yeah, you never know. It's so
Yeah.
crazy, but it's crazy in a magical, real way. What's your favorite part? What's the thing that draws you the most? What's one thing you do every year besides the Trek track?
Isn't I always like because it's a primarily for me, I tend to focus on comics. Like I review comics every week. So it's always been my desire to make sure I'm always at the artist alley, like talking to comic book writers,
Yeah,
talking to comic book artists, letting them know, like even if it's not interviewing them officially, it's really just kind of telling them how much I enjoy their work and the things that they're putting into the world, the things that they're creating,
yeah,
because of how they've, affected me, affected my writing, affected my life, affected my love of, reading and literature and expansion of my mind and things of that nature. So that's kind of always where I love to go. And then again, it's anything Star Trek. Like I'm always
yeah.
I'm always on the hunt for anything Star Trek related,
So do you ever
whether
do you
it's
ever sneak across the hall to the digital media track?
I have on a
Yeah, you
few occasions.
paused. You paused. That's
I have on a couple of occasions. Like it's really one of those things where it's like I kind of I focus in and I focus in on like the things that like I really want to hit and but I'm there usually from the beginning of the day to almost the end of the night.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I always end up like floating into something I haven't experienced before
yeah.
and finding a way and enjoying it and finding a way to enjoy it. Now I think I haven't been to the balls yet, but I keep saying at one point I'm going to go to them. And maybe I'll just kind of float in like I do with everything else.
I mean, that's really it. So my buddy, he he discovered the app. Like, oh, I can
Yeah.
start really planning.
Yeah.
He has made it a goal to like do at least one more panel every year, like to see one more panel.
Hmm.
And every time slot has two, if not three panels. There's like, well, if I don't like this one, I can jump over to this one.
Yeah.
Or and he's just in and out and doing and yeah. And then there's plenty of times just to chill
Yeah.
and just take a break because you literally cannot do everything. So
No.
just go with
Absolutely.
what feels great.
Yeah. And I think because I've been looking at it again from the perspective of two things, both as a fan and both as someone that's in media at this point. And I'm thinking I know this year I think I probably want to concentrate a little bit more on like media track and talking to and like seeing and meeting like fellow podcasters and fellow
Mm.
people in digital media, talking to people like yourself, just kind of like people who have the experience that I'm hoping to gain.
Have
I've
you done a panel yet?
I haven't, and I
What
think
what's
that's the thing.
stopping you?
I
What are you
don't know.
thinking?
I really don't know. I think the closest I haven't done a panel yet. I've thought about it. I think it's really is more of not kind of knowing where to go or who to talk to. Because I've
Okay.
thought about either, I've considered either being on a panel or, moderating a panel or things of that nature. Like, but it's really I don't think it's lack of access, it's just kind of lack of understanding of who I need to talk to.
And that's kind of like DragonCon as a whole. It's almost the TARDIS itself. It is larger on the inside, but you can get very focused. So I know they have the newbies tour on Thursday.
Yeah.
They have a newbies different kind of, they call them panels, but it really is answering questions, helping you get some ideas, get the lay of the land before you get started. They do that both on Thursday and Friday. And then I know I built the digital media track to kind of be that way for people who wanted to have a voice and bring something to the table. All the directors of every track, if anybody else is looking
Mhm.
for that information, they are
Yeah.
listed on the website. We all have DragonCon emails,
Okay.
and some respond better than others. But I've always said go up and introduce yourself, go to a panel
Yeah.
and try to identify who the director is and just say this is who I am and these are some ideas I have. And I like with the digital media, everything is everything, right?
Yeah.
I've even made arguments like we could have Wednesday, the TV show Wednesday on our track, but that's Netflix. I'm sorry, that's digital and it is media.
Mhm.
We own the world. But we very much try to um just anything if you're not seeing what you want to see at DragonCon, you've got to bring it to DragonCon.
Yeah.
And while I do more than just a digital media track, I'm here today. This I don't get to wear this jersey, so I got up for if it's a podcast audio too. I've got this beautiful Dragon Con hockey jersey that I get to wear for my spokesperson stuff, where I get to do appearances like this. But it's very much trying to make it where you're seen.
Yeah.
And like Mark Leary, do you know Mark Leary birdography?
Yeah. Yeah.
He's doing a number of panels this year now. He's
Okay.
worked his way into figuring out because you do gotta have a taste for it. You gotta know kind of where you're going. But we always try to introduce people to other people. And that's what my
Mhm.
Dragon Con's all about is connections. If I want to go sit in an audience, I feel connected to that celebrity on the stage and sharing their
Yeah.
story. And that's I would I don't really mean this. I wouldn't love it, but I'd love to hear somebody who hated DragCon just as like a scientific how. What went wrong? Tell me what you were looking for.
Yeah.
You know, because I can't imagine. I mean, I've taken my wife, my kids, none of them are nerds like I am, not to the extent I
Mhm.
am. They still enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think the only times I ever kind of hear anybody say anything, I remember, I think it had to be last year. I think it was just like it's never about the event. It's always about, I think, kind of the like logistical things, like the line getting into America's Mart. I think that they was kind
yeah.
of like the biggest.
Saturday is a big day for
Yeah.
America's Mart. It's and there's so much. There's so many things to see. You got the I'm sure you spent a lot of time in America's
Yeah,
Mart because
yeah,
that's where the comics
absolutely.
are.
That's where Artist Alley is. That's where,
Yeah.
yeah, that's where the comic that's where the comic creators are. That's usually where I'm spending most of my time. I'm like sitting down with people, and but yeah, that's usually where I spend the bulk of my time. And that line, I think that line wrapped around 4 times to get.
Yeah, that tracks. Yeah. Yep. And it we are safe. So we
Yeah.
always follow the guidelines of the city, and there's at least one, if not two, fire marshals on property the whole
Mhm.
weekend, making sure people are safe. And so we definitely work with that. And that's the thing, we're also inclusive. So
Yeah.
once you're in, it's not like we tag you, you got 10 minutes, Darren, and then you got to get
Mhm.
out. And so everybody gets to have that experience. And it is, man, if
But
we
I
can
think,
figure out the magic on just poofing lines away and you can walk in at your designated time, that'd be great. But other than that, you make, like you said, you miss the opportunity of making new friends,
mhm.
seeing great cosplay that comes by. And
And I
man, there's
think
what,
that,
4 floors to the America's March. You got
yeah.
all kinds of stuff to do once you get inside.
But I think as it goes back to what I was saying is that, there was the people that they were complaining about the lines, but they never got out of them.
Yeah.
They never got
Yeah.
out of the line. It didn't dampen their spirits. It didn't dampen their
Yeah.
interactions. It was one of those things where it's like, they still wanted to be there. And I think that's probably the more endearing element of that
Yeah.
is that, you know what? Yeah, it's their thing. Yeah, it's hot and we're sitting in line with a bunch of people and
Yeah.
it's wrapped around, but we all want to be here. And there's a reason we're
Mhm.
here. And we're going to get to see
Yeah.
something we want to see. So yeah.
And every experience is magic. Like you're there and you're putting in your energy and sometimes even questions, right? You're asking
Mhm.
questions, things, and you're getting this all one of a kind experience. You don't get the same repetition speeches, the same stories. But sending that line, it's almost like you win the lottery, right? You make
Mhm.
it into the building and then you make it down the hall and then you make it into the room to a seat and you
Right.
win. And it's
Mhm.
there's something said about that. I was the same way. I was like, man, this line is. I think I got in line for Stargate 2 hours before the panel, maybe an hour and a
Mhm.
half before the panel or something. And I was towards the end of the line, and then I got in, I got my seats, and I felt like I did something that
Yeah.
day, you know. And it is something special. But if lines aren't for you, that's why we have at any given hour, there's probably 40 plus things you can be doing that are just panels and events, not
Right.
not even the freebies, not even the lines, not the photo shoots, just paneled events that you
Yeah.
can do. Plus your artist alleys, plus your
Mhm.
author alleys and your photo ops. And what so you like the comics, you like all that stuff. What's something you've seen change in your experience that you liked?
I think something that's changed a lot, and it's kind of something that like I've experienced just from a journalism perspective is there's a lot more communication I think back and forth between me me specifically and you guys who are running the event. Like I think before was I think the thing that's always kind of held me back from a lot of things is always thinking, well, I you, you have to be one of the people that knows people in order to kind of get things,
Sure, maybe. Yeah.
yeah. But I'm finding more and more just kind of reaching out to people is that, people will talk, people will help, people are willing to help, they want to help. And I think
Yeah.
that's helped me kind of break out of my shell a little bit. But I think as far as like changes that I've seen is that, as it's gotten bigger, as there seemed to be a lot more people. I think last year was what, like 88,000 people or something like that. But
We keep it about 74, 76 ish thousand.
yeah,
The top number we ever hit was 94,000. That
yeah,
was a lot.
but it's still
That
like
was a lot.
tens of thousands of people.
Oh yeah,
But
yeah, yeah,
like
yeah.
even with that
Yes,
there, like
yes.
it's still an event where it never feels um it never feels like it's not running smoothly. Like
Gotcha. Yeah,
yeah. So I think the fact that even with the changes I've seen, like even with things, especially like last year with the America's Mark, it still was running really smoothly. And I think that's a testament to the work you guys put in, not only you guys like in the offices, but
hmm
also definitely the volunteers. Like, and I've really seen just kind of and not even necessarily a change, but it's something like I've always seen as consistently the attitude of the people involved is always positive, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's always like one of my go-to destinations for the year. Like,
I fully agree. When I first started coming, I was very, very wary of everything. And I
Yeah.
saw really cool cosplay and I saw really cool thing. And you know, I come from a very kind of rigid and repressed background. And so I'm trying to like get into a hotel and everybody's kind of stopping and I'm like, it's a doorway. And then I see a conga line of Deadpools come through and I'm like, oh, that's fun. Or
Yeah.
I'm walking through and all of a sudden this dance party of Waluigi's breaks out to Golden
Hmm.
and they're doing their thing. And like, it's just a different world
Yeah.
and the positivity is there. I cannot think of a time I've ever asked a stranger or a hotel employee or a volunteer anything, whether I was a part of the con or not, for them to not be, oh, yeah, no, we sure we'll help you point you in this direction or that
Yeah. Yeah.
direction. um Even, I mean, it's the world, things go wrong, but even like when elevators start having issues, the people are positive. Everybody,
Yeah.
all the staff is there to help. Everybody is there to help. And it's just, it helped me relax more and more. And
Hmm.
almost like a wounded puppy dog. It's like, are you sure I can come out of my corner and not get smacked? And yeah, I love hearing that from someone else. And I give all the credit to the founders
Yeah.
and their leadership and how, because I'm kind of mid to lower level leadership in all this. So
Hmm.
there's their belief in fans come first, and we as the staff and then the founders and everybody, like, their first thing is we love what we love. We started
Yeah.
this because we love pop culture, we love Dungeons and Dragons, we love authors, we love this. And I'm telling you, man, there are no bigger nerds. When I classify nerd as somebody's like, when they get excited, they like turn into this little kid with excitement
Yeah.
and get just that unbridled joy. There's no bigger nerds than the people who lead this con, and it
And I
just
think,
permeates down.
yeah, and that's again one of the reasons why it's one of my go-tos because it never it I I have no problem with corporate run cons. I understand what they're there for. They're there to, I mean, if in essence, you're there to sell a product to a consumer.
Sure.
I never feel that way with Dragon Con because it always feels like, hey, you want to come see this thing that we like, and that it just I think that's always why it feels so welcoming to both like veterans and newbies because
Yeah.
it is just like, hey, we all got together and decided to get together and talk about these things that we love. Come and join us and talk about something you love, and then we'll talk about that too. So yeah, it just
Yeah. Yeah. And we always move towards the love, and that's where a lot of the inspiration for change has come out throughout the years. I personally, when I took over the podcasting track as a director, I felt like, well, first, I felt like saying anything should change was like me being negative about my predecessors. I'm like,
yeah.
I don't want to be that. They did a great job. I wouldn't be here if they hadn't come first.
Right.
But I got to really thinking about it, and it's like, but I don't feel as inclusive as we could be. We are podcasting track, but there's YouTube, there's
Mhm.
TikTok wasn't really a thing yet, but it was up and coming. There's all these formats and creators are out there. I want to be more open, and so then I publicly announced that we're going to change the name to the digital media track. I had to work it out with the upper management and everything else. And originally I called it digital media creators track. And
Mhm.
they're like, hey, we love it, but let's drop the creators because it feels like it's a little exclusive, as in the
Mhm.
fans of the creations won't think they should be able to come. I'm like,
Right.
I hear you. I'm down with that. And it became digital media track. And that year, we always have a wrap up panel. I now call it a little tongue in cheek, called like and subscribe, the digital media wrap up panel.
Yeah.
But somebody came that year and said this was going to be our last year coming to DragonCon because we didn't find a place to fit. We create YouTube videos about this kind
Mhm.
of things and this that, and other, and we kind of get it here and kind of get it there. But when you said you're changing this to digital media, now that felt better, and
Right.
that's all we try to strive for. That's what I've learned from following the leadership at DragonCon is if you don't find a place there to connect, perhaps somebody didn't help you see it, or
Yep.
maybe, I mean, hey, if you're coming to hate on people, you're not going to find a place to connect there. But it's
No.
all about the love and the positivity. And man, I just, this year's a big year This year's our 40th
Yeah,
show,
40th. Yeah.
and you can just feel it in all the meetings and all that, just the joy and the happiness and the overly excitement. I've worked for a number of corporations,
Yeah.
and while technically DragonCon's a corporation, you would never tell
Yeah.
from the way they act from the business side on down. It's all
Mhm.
what you see is what you get. And just to have after 40 years, you would think I've done this 40 years. I'm kind of ready to retire, kind of worn out, kind of nah, the founders are still just as excited as little kids, and you can just
Right.
feel this energy this year. It's gonna be amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad. And but again, just and not even again, but going back to what we were talking about as far as like digital media, like you kind of touched on it. I think especially when you ask me about like, panels and things like that, I think I am looking for that as well at DragonCon. Like I'm kind of looking for a way, like beyond just covering it as a journalist. I think I kind of want to expand my relationship with the con and expand my relationship with digital media and learn more about it. Like I think I've been really lucky, and I think I say lucky in the sense that I've put in a lot of work and I've just kind of found a niche, but I think I can do more. And I'm wondering how would your track kind of help me in that regard?
So we have an open Discord. And actually, if
Mhm.
you as we try to make it as simple as possible, and every year I'm trying to make it more and more simple. But Linktree slash so linktr.ee/ digital media, DC digital media track, and,
Mhm.
yeah, DC digital media track. 'Cause it turns out some other social media people have DC or anyway, it doesn't matter. So yeah,
Yeah.
Linktree. We try to make it easy so you can get into the Discord because everything's done there.
Right.
When you come into the room where we have digital displays with QR codes, so you can just scan in and
Mhm.
get to the Discord or get to the connections of what you want. We have actually a separate, just on a side note, we have a separate QR code that will be flashed up that links every panelist and all their social media stuff. So
Really?
if you're like, oh man, I saw that panel, I forgot who was on it, doesn't matter. You can scan it and you can go find them. You talk to the people. You walk into any panel at the end of it, or any of the breaks, right? You're obviously not during the middle because we're
Yeah.
like, please sit down and enjoy the show.
Right.
But during the break, you ask the panelists, you ask the moderator, you ask any of the volunteers, how do I get to be a part of it? They'll all point you in that same direction. You go into the Discord, talk to the volunteer. Volunteers, there's many now for the last couple of years. I get 3 or 4 handwritten notes saying, hey, this person came by. Here's their email. They want to see about being on panels next year. And then I'll follow up with an email saying, hey, please join the Discord, but here's the rundown and everything. A lot of different panel or a lot of different tracks rather have their own Facebook groups.
Hmm.
And you it's like Gary Vaynerchuk said. You reminded me of Gary Vaynerchuk as soon as you started talking because you were like, "Yeah, my boys, we were just talking at work and forgetting to clock in." Excited. What excites you is what you really should do,
Yeah.
and talk about. And he also says you go find where you can give value. And so if your niche is, I'm trying to think of if your niche is crafting and
Hmm.
robotics. You go down to that little world and then you start talking to the people. And for us specifically, we're digital media creators. By all means, any panel that has digital media name on it, just walk in there and ask one of the volunteers. Now, sometimes on the bigger panels, the celebrities, the attending pros don't exactly know how they got there because they're attending pro. I go into the database and
Yeah. Yeah.
we grab them. But I almost always try to put an up and comer, an unknown on any given panel that I can, and they'll tell you how to do that. And it's I guess the simple answer, Darren, is go to that world and then ask somebody, how did you get here? And
Yeah.
more than likely they'll tell you, talk to this person, talk to that person.
I think that's kind of why I wanted to talk to you, like when the opportunity arose, because you've been doing it for 20 years. Like you're in that world. You're in that position that I've been. I don't know if I've necessarily been like kind of striving for, but it's one of those things where you're doing the thing that I enjoy doing.
Gotcha. Yeah.
You've been doing it not only longer than I have, but you've managed to find a specific niche that works for you. And
Yeah.
I think that's kind of even after 10 years, I think ultimately kind of one of the things I've been searching for. is just to kind of find that niche that I think that really works for me. So yeah, so
You
I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about it at all.
you want to know the secret to finding your niche?
Yeah.
Just talk about yourself all the time. In fact, you are built. Your name is built for the perfect show. It's
Yeah.
Darren generally.
Generally,
Just
yeah.
in general, here's Darren, right? You can go generally speaking with Darren, there's some, but that's what I really need. I fought it for so long that, oh, I want to perform this way and attract this crowd. I want to perform that way. And
Mhm.
ultimately I struggle, mostly because I don't slow my brain down enough to catch it. Sometimes I struggle with not brains. I struggle with names and hitting things. So I just said, you know what? Instead of fighting it, instead of putting in extra mental push-ups to go, I'm gonna remember every name of every fan of everything. I go,
Mhm.
that's my brand. You love me. It's fun. I just mess it up. I don't mean any ill will, and I'm gonna have fun with it. So there's definitely times I actually know the name of something and I'll mess it up because I don't want to mess my brand up.
Yeah.
But I built it around my weaknesses and I focused on my strengths. And I for the longest time I wouldn't even said I have a niche because I'm like, well, I talk about games over here and I've talked about
Mhm.
this over here. But then I started realizing in the last couple of years, I do have a niche, and the niche is me. It is I want
Right.
to educate, I want to entertain, and in everything I do, I want to make myself laugh and have a good time,
Right.
or learn something new. And so I mean, I can get deep and I can get real serious about things, but that was it. Is you take yourself and you just pour it into everything you do, and it comes out like a Darren cake.
Yeah.
Unless you don't like cake, then we'll get General Pie.
Well, yeah, I am more of a pie guy,
I hear you.
but I absolutely understand what you mean. Thank you so much for the analogy. But I mean, again, just kind of going into the 40th anniversary of Dragon Con.
Yeah.
Like, is there
Well,
any
technically it's the 40th show because
40th
we
show?
started in 1987. So
Yeah,
next
yeah,
year will be the anniversary. Because,
got
I love doing that. I pull my glasses up because there's going to be people go, actually, because my buddy does all the time. It's like, you can't have the first annual. You have to have the second show is the first annual because you have to
yeah.
go, yeah. So it is the 40th show for
I
all
got
the people who like to be specific.
the 40th show. Um, kind of what things are you looking forward to specifically? Just kind of from your perspective, both with the digital media track, but also just as a fan. Like what are you looking forward to for this upcoming year? Like
We
nothing that's
got
non-spoiler, but just
Yeah,
like,
well, I don't get told spoil. I'm the Tom Holland of the group. I don't get
oh,
told
okay, I
spoilers,
got
but
you.
I will talk about everything
Yeah.
I know about. Uh, so for the digital media track, so throughout the internal workings of DragonCon, they said this is a year of change. This is a year that is going to be pivotal, and it's going to look a little bit different going forward, and hopefully, I think better. And
Mhm.
for 10 years, so I've been director of digital media track for 10 years now. And for 10 years, well, we're digital media. We need to be more cutting edge. I absolutely appreciate being provided these dry erase marker little table tents so you could write your own name on it, the
Yeah.
artist draw on it, and it's fun stuff. And then we erase and go on to the next panel. I absolutely appreciate the fact that I can get cardboard paper printed tabletop with it. You're maybe on DCTV. It's a nice collector thing. If it's your first panel, I definitely have taken mine home and have
Yeah.
them somewhere in a box. Right. I love that. But that's not digital, man. We've worked so hard in our field to come from everything we've come from to be able to have at home, be able to just push simple buttons and look like a professional
Yeah.
studio and everything else. That our track needs to be that. And I finally got it this year. I got my talents in. I found the right place, right time, right people. And we're using this software that we're having digital nameplates for everybody, for the
Ooh.
panelists. And so it's going to be there. It's going to be DragonCon 40 branded, which we've never really had any DragonCon branding on our nameplates. And now it's going to be this nice thing. It's going to come in with very sharp looking. Your name's going to show up 5 minutes before the panel ends. It automatically rolls to your social medias, and it's going to be right there. And then in between, we're going to run Quotey Fingers ads. So we're going to have the charity up. We're testing this system out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're to have friends of the track. Their podcasts will be put up there, so they'll always be rolling something on those tables this year. And
I gotta be at this panel. I
yeah,
gotta be at this panel, man.
it's gonna be through all, what are we doing now? 80. Well, so it'll be all 80 panels because some of them are in
Yeah.
big rooms. But all the panels in Galleria 6 and Galleria 7 are going to have their digital name tags. And I'm like, this is finally, it's like, this is it. I'm putting my foot down. I'll make this happen however I have to. And I got to get the tablets the other night and test run the system. And I just took a few minutes and just messed with Canva and threw some slop up there. Just instant. It just is beautiful and it works. So I'm so excited about that for the media track. And I think we are more diverse on the media track than we ever have been before. As in, every way you can think of the word diverse. We have all kind of different content than we've had before. We have different creators, new fresh faces, every walk of life coming in and doing that. And then I'm excited about the different guests that we've been bringing back. I can't say because I don't know if it's been announced, but somebody's definitely come for the digital media track before. It is coming in this year. And it's cool to have them back. I can say this because it's been announced. Are you familiar with Vine? One of the early
Yeah.
platforms that really kicked
I
off
remember
this
Vine.
sharp. Do you remember
It's like
Story
60.
Time? The man
Yeah, I
was sitting in
remember.
the
Yeah, I remember the guy.
Thomas Sanders is his name. I got
Okay.
him this year. He is coming in as
Nice.
my guest this year and working with me on doing some panels. He's going to do some amazing work. It's great. But I think for me personally, like I've said throughout this whole thing, experience is everything to me.
Yeah.
And I get to moderate a once in a lifetime panel. It's called, right now, the title is DragonCon 40, a look back with the founders. And we have all four founders on stage for the first time ever. And you're never going to be 40 again. There's never going to be this
Yeah.
kind of look back again. And I get to sit there with them and ask them the questions and moderate with the audience. And it's for me, that's kind of like a pinnacle moment of you can't recreate
No,
that. That's going to be a
absolutely.
one time one shot deal, and I'm very excited about that. What about
Yeah.
you? What's got you excited this year?
Well, honestly, well, frankly, actually, most of what you just said has gotten me more excited. I tend to have, like I said, I tend to have like I see the comic book people and Star Trek is usually kind of my one and two, and then I like to be surprised by everything I see after that. But I'm definitely going to be hitting the digital media track. But I think as far as what's gotten me excited, I think um Firefly. I'm a Firefly guy.
Yes,
So yeah,
yes.
just having like Nathan and them coming in, especially after they announced like the whole
The
animated
animated series,
series.
yeah.
Like I really kind of want to, I think if anything, I I'm I tend to focus a lot of my time based around, like if I can interview this person or I can sit down
Mhm.
with this
Yeah, I'll
person.
get that. Yep.
And so yeah, so it's just like then is that after I do that, then I make sure I hit everything. But I really, again, I'm just from talking to you, I'm very interested not only in the digital media track, but also in kind of expanding, like, again, being on a panel, like being like moderating a panel. I'm actually, I think, a little bit more interested, and not even a little bit more, I'm much more interested in those things after talking to you because I think there might have been a little bit of apprehension on my part, but I'm at the point where I gotta step out. I gotta try
Yeah.
something new.
You got to follow your heart is what I'd like to
Yeah.
say. It's because it's telling you, and we all come up with reasons why we don't know, and that's
Yeah.
fair. We don't know, but the only way to defeat the unknown is to make it known,
Yeah.
and to talk to somebody, say, hey, next year, like Mark Leary, like say he's doing a number of panels
Hmm.
Sunday evening at 10 p.m. and yeah, I think it's Galleries. He's doing a blurredography panel about being press in the digital age.
Okay.
And obviously, as I'm talking to you, that's a panel that's
Yeah.
built for you. You'd been perfect on
Absolutely.
that. And that's the thing when people we don't realize we don't know because it's easy to not know, but you've been attending for many, many years.
Yeah.
You do your
Mhm.
fan stuff, you do your reporting journalism thing. And I
Mhm.
get that. That's why I did the podcast tracks, is that was my world.
Yeah.
And then you start branching and then you start hearing that voice. I could do that. And that's the key with everybody. The first time they sit on the backside of the table with the panelists, they feel like they don't belong here. I don't, and
Hmm.
then they realize, oh, I do have something to add. And we've had so many origin stories come out of the digital media track along the lines of I sat in the audience and I asked this question and so and so said this or you said that or that, and now here I am doing a panel about it. And here I am connecting in and seeing. Not everybody needs to do panels, but just know because you do have some knowledge that you just shared, right?
Yeah.
There's no rejections. There's no that's not. I mean, if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. That's not a
Yeah.
rejection.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just not the right match. So I want people to go, I want to share with the animation track. Okay, it didn't quite
Mhm.
work out, but you never know until you try to do it. I want to share with this track and maybe do a panel there. You
Mhm.
share, and then you just never know. But when you do sit down, somebody heard what you had to share, and people on the other side of that table in the audience automatically see you as that expert because you
Yeah.
have something to share that might inspire them, entertain them, or
Mhm.
just give them an hour of fun.
Yeah. I think above anything, I think above anything else, it's a I have a voice and I need to be able, I want to use it. I want to be able
Yeah.
to use it, especially in regards to the things that I enjoy. And it's not even necessarily because I want, to kind of bring people into something that I enjoy, but I just kind of want that community with people who enjoy the same things. So yeah, I think I definitely understand what you
Man, we do at least one, if not two different panels about building community
mean.
and
Yeah.
connecting with people. And that, yeah, there's and across the board. At first, I was a little stuck up. I rub my nose as if like I stick it up in the air and thinking, "Oh, I'm a genius. I'm coming up with all these ideas, and or I'm empowering people to come up with these ideas." And then I look over and Trek Track's been doing that same type of panel for 3 years, and
Yeah.
Skep Track has been doing it in science. It's like, you know what? That's the reality of the world.
Yeah.
We all have this tap in to creativity, and we get different inspirations for
Yeah.
how to create. And I can tell you, if you kind of, I don't think the schedule, no, that hadn't launched, so the schedule's not released yet, but come closer to the con, the Apple launch, if you take a big cloud sized look at what the digital media schedule is, you'll see a theme of how do I start recording? How do I do lights?
Mhm.
They're because they were submitted, but they all had different flavors and they're
Right.
on different days. So I'm like, well, if you can't make it on Friday, here's a different one on Saturday, and it'll just say it in a different way.
Yeah.
I just a little bit of soapbox here, but it does break my heart as a creator when I see anybody go, well, I can't do this panel, or rather, you can't do this panel. I'm already doing it once on my track, or once on my performance, or once on,
Right.
but why not? Because 74,000 people.
Yeah.
You can only fit most of our track rooms can only fit a couple hundred people at best. So we're having to turn people away. Let's all share the ideas. Let's all I wouldn't want this, but you could literally have every track do all the same panels, but they all land differently because horror track is definitely going to present differently than I present.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even if it's the same panel. So yeah, it's coming back full circle to all about inclusivity and finding where you
Yeah.
belong.
Absolutely. I mean, and again, the reason why like the digital media track is like, especially just again talking to you, has got me so excited is because going back to something that we talked about earlier, is there's always something to learn. Like I've been doing this for about 10 years. There's still so many things I don't
Yeah.
know. There's still so much I don't understand that I need to learn about. It's like I definitely need to learn more and keep going. So yeah, I'm gonna spend a lot more time on the digital media track. I'm probably gonna be I apologize in advance, but I'm probably gonna be bugging you a lot.
Bring it. Bring it. That's what I live for. If I gotta go, I gotta go. I'll tell you, because I'm also the title needs some work. I don't know what the better title would be, but I've told Regina that but I'm a multi-level track director, which sounds like I'm just trying to sell you into my Amway over
Yeah.
here. But I'm over all the reality tracks, so sometimes I gotta go check on some other things and do some other
Yeah, yeah.
things. But if I'm sitting there, open game. Come talk to me, ask me a
Right.
question. Um, I'll let you know if I'm too tired too. I'll say, hey, I'm sorry. Usually it's not till about Sunday evening, definitely Monday.
Yeah, yeah,
Monday, it's just like, Darren, You're gonna do it. Like,
Yeah.
but Friday, man, it's just like, yeah, man, brr, I got you.
Yeah.
Brr. So, but it's that's what I've always wanted from fans of mine to creators to anybody who needs anything. Just come ask because the biggest loss I've had in my life was realizing I missed opportunities because I stopped myself from just asking, hey, how do I do this? And it wasn't anybody told me no, is I just didn't ask.
Right.
So, and then the second greatest loss is I had no idea I could do XYZ. And so that's how I've built the whole track. That's how I put it myself into everything is if I can give you a new perspective, a new connection, a new possibility of doing something, a new encouragement or belief in your life. That's what I'm here for. I was born to help others be awesome.
That's a great philosophy to have. Well, I just to kind of wrap up because there's so much I want to talk to you about, and I'm definitely going to be talking to you a lot. But if you wanted people to find you and follow you on social media, where can they?
Right
Because I'm
now,
gonna
everything is tied together at Linktree. I'm working on some others. I do have my website, charlesmcfall.com. Yeah, I'm Googleable. I love saying that. It's like, you
yeah.
just Google rock out of podcasting. I come up. You Google Charles McFall, I might come up second to an animated character in Family Guy because his name was Charles McFall too. But but directly without having to search it is Linktree. That's linktr.ee/RGOP42. So I'm the rock god of podcasting, and 42 is the answer to life, universe, and everything, baby.
All right. Charles McFall, thank you so much for being on the fan cast. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you giving me so much to think about as far as my upcoming experience at DragonCon and my experiences going forward. I really appreciate it.
And I challenge everybody, but especially Darren, pick one thing that's still interesting to you, but way out of your zone. So
Hmm.
digital media is in your zone. So I don't know if you're into horror, but like pick a panel on a horror track to go to, or
Yeah.
something else like, oh, that sounds good, just to push yourself out. Because when you do, it's I'm assuming you play video games.
Yeah.
It's that fog of war. You didn't unlock the map till you went over here into this area. Now all of a sudden, here's a new world, and you may
Yeah.
never explore that part, but now you've opened up the map to see it.
Right.
And that's I try to do that at least once every con.
All right. I definitely will. And I appreciate it. All right.
Thank you for having me, man. Anytime. You're a great
Yeah,
talk, it's a great person to talk to. I'd love to do it again.
absolutely. Definitely will. All right. So I think I'll go ahead and I'm going to